special video for you guys today. If you would, please hit that like button for me. Hit the subscribe so you get all the notifications and every time I drop a video. So today, we're gonna be talking about getting your commercial driver's license. Let's do it. So first thing first, what is a commercial vehicle? A commercial vehicle is any vehicle with a GVWR, which is gross vehicle weight rating of 26,001 pounds or more. Generally, you'll see more or less like UPS trucks to your neighborhood. They have, I think, a Class D CDLs, I believe. All the way up to the big rigs you see on the interstate, which are Class A's. So, and school buses, they're Class B with what's called a passenger endorsement. And these, like what I'm gonna be demonstrating on today, is a boom truck. Some of y'all are my subscribers, y'all all know. I'm gonna be showing y'all a boom truck, the 10-stick style today. It really don't matter, as long as it's over 26,001 pounds, you can use any vehicle. This one right here though, on a boom truck, it'll get you a Class B license. If you have a Class A license, you can drive any of the other vehicles. It's just as long as you have the acceptable endorsements. The endorsements include hazmat endorsements, which are passenger endorsements, and so on and so forth. And also you can have CDLs with or without air brakes. School buses don't require air brakes. Some do, I think, maybe. But school buses, for the most part, don't require air brakes. But these boom trucks and most other commercial vehicles do. So you definitely want to make sure you get the air brakes endorsements. Get as many endorsements as you can on any kind of commercial vehicle. Always get as many endorsements as you can, because you never know when you're going to need them. And the more endorsements you have, the more money you are able to make. So like I was telling y'all earlier with the GVWR, if you was wondering whether or not your vehicle meets those standards, usually either here on this truck or inside the door panel on most trucks, it's usually right there. But as you can see right here, you see all these numbers. That GAWR is gross axle weight rating. But this is what you're looking for to make it a commercial vehicle. This one, the GVWR, 15,876 kilograms, and which is here in America, we use poundage. We don't use the metric system. My only weakness. 35,000 pounds. So here you see we meet the standard for a commercial vehicle. To begin the test, you're coming out of the DMV, along with the administrator. The first thing you want to do, you want to look down underneath the truck, and I want to ensure that there are no leaks. You're coming up to the truck, so I want to look at the headlights. I want to make sure that my headlights are clear and free of debris. They are functional. The signals work. Left signal, right signal. The test administrator will give you accommodations to be able to perform that test. I want to open my hood latches. I've already opened mine, both sides of the hood latch. All right. Now, inside of the vehicle, they are going to be looking for you to verbalize everything that you are doing during your pre-trip inspection. They just want to know that you know what you're looking for. And so the best thing I can tell you to do, my opinion, is you want to start with your fluids. Here on this style of truck, right here is your coolant tank. I want to check my coolant tank. I want to make sure there's no cracks, no cuts, no leaks. I want to check the fluid levels. You're going to actually physically check the fluid levels, like your oil, for example. I'm going to check my oil things. I want to make sure that my oil level is at or below full, but above add. Fluid levels are there. And that phrase, you want to remember it. At or below full, but above add. That's going to be your key phrase for checking all your fluids. Every one of your fluids that you have, brake fluids, or washer fluids, coolant, oil, transmission. I want to make sure that all of my fluid levels are at or above full, at or below full, but above add. I want to check my belt, my serpentine belt, right here. That big belt, that spins, it's called the serpentine belt in your car, trucks, or what have you. I want to check it. I want to make sure there's no cracks, no cuts, no breaks on my belt. My belt seems to be there. I'm going to check my filter, make sure my filter is, my air filter is clear and free of debris. All right, I'm going to check my brakes. I'm going to check my, I'm going to check all my canisters. I want to check my tires. The tread, the tire tread has to be at least a ½ inch deep on the front and at least a ¼ inch deep on the rear. I want to check my outer wall and my inner wall to make sure there are no cracks, no cuts, no bubbles. I'm going to check my lug nuts. I want to make sure they're all tight and secure, not rusted off, nothing's bent, nothing's broken. I'm going to check my air hoses on my air lines. There don't seem to be any cracks, cuts, or breaks. I'm going to check cotter pins. I'm going to check leaf springs. Everything that you see on the vehicle that may need checking. What you really want to remember, the key to remember is those phrases that I was saying. Not bent, not broken, no cuts, no breaks in hoses and wires. All these different little things you have to go through and name. And, you know, when you get the book, you'll see what you have to name and what you don't have to name. You want to make sure that your mirrors are clean and free of debris. Steps, make sure they're free and clear of debris. They're not bent, they're not broken, they're still attached. You can't walk here, this and then. So now, depending on what kind of truck that you take the test in, it'll be different. Like, say I was in a water truck, then I would have to explain what I'm looking for during my pre-trip on the water truck. So being that this is a 10-stick style boom truck, I want to check my sticks. I want to make sure that they're not loose, that they are functional, they're not bent, they're not broken. Watch this, y'all. You see how usually if I was on the remote truck, this is a boom truck thing, not a CDL thing. If I was on a remote truck, then I could switch from using a button that's usually right about here. I can switch from which side to the other, which one I'm on using. But on these 10-stick style, watch this. See this first controller, watch it on the other side. I'm gonna push it here, but it functions on both sides. So this one works from both sides. All right, so back to the CDL. I'm gonna come underneath. Like through here, I'm gonna look at my drive shaft. I wanna make sure my drive shaft is connected. Of course, when you get to the place, you know your drive shaft and all this is connected. It's just you have to go through the whole little system. You're gonna go underneath the truck. You're gonna repeat what you did with the inner and outer sidewall, with the tread depth and the tires, with the brake canisters, with the drums, with the leaf springs here. You wanna make sure that your leaf springs meet qualifications. Now, after you've done all you can do to get your pre-trip done during the inspection, now the driver test will move from the outside of the vehicle to the inside of the vehicle on the cab. All right, and so just like with the outside of the vehicle, those phrases still come in handy. And the first thing you do when you get into the cab, you're gonna tell the inspector, I wanna check my seat belt. I wanna make sure it's not frayed, there are no breaks, it's not dry rotted. It's functional and it does its job. You're gonna put the seat belt, you're gonna connect it, you're gonna tug on it to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do. And you're gonna have the administrator do the same because they're gonna enter the vehicle with you from the passenger side. Always, always make sure that you tell the administrator, you have to verbalize it, to put on their seat belt. All right, let me turn y'all around. Now, from the inside of the cab, here's what you're looking for. You're gonna go to the administrator. The administrator is gonna be sitting there waiting on you, and you're gonna let them know. I'm gonna look at my gauges. I'm gonna check my volt gauge. I wanna make sure that my volts, I'm gonna crank it up because you don't wanna crank the vehicle. I wanna make sure my volts are between 12 to 14 volts. I'm gonna look at my water temperature. I wanna make sure my gauge is functional. I'm gonna look at my air pressure to make sure it's building up air. I'm gonna look at my oil gauge to make sure the PSIs are right, between 20 and 40. All this, another air gauge, your air filter, your speedometer and your mileage. I'm gonna make sure all those gauges are functional. You're gonna have to check your horn, city horn, and your air horn, and they are functional. From this point, all right, and this is the most important part of the cab test. Here is your parking brake. And you have to refer to this separate from this brake. So now I'm going to be showing y'all how to do the brake test. So at this point, I'm going to start fanning my brakes. So right around 60 PSI, we should get the warning light. And around 40 PSI, it should engage the brake automatically. So here, we're going to disengage the brake. And we're going to start fanning. All I'm doing is constantly pumping the brakes to make it lose air pressure. And around 60, there's the warning light. You hear the buzzer chiming. And right here around 40, keep pumping. There it is. Around 40 PSI, you should get your brake should engage. So that is it. Our truck is functional. And at this point, we will begin with the road testing. On the road test, there are two parts of the road test. There is the part that's going to take place in the parking lot around the cones. You're going to have to do two types of bagging. You're going to have to do straight line bagging. That's where you just bag in a straight line. And then you're going to have to do offset bagging. That's where you're going to start in a straight line, and then you're going to kind of deviate from the normal path and bag at an angle to come back to that straight line. And once you complete those, you're going to go out on the road. Now, the only thing that you're going to have to worry about on the road, I want you to be extra careful of the road signs that you pass, because they're not going to tell you anything, but you're going to pass a road sign, and after you passed it a while, they're going to ask you, hey, what was that road sign back there we passed? And, you know, a mile per hour sign or something, you're going to have to know that. If you don't know it, you've already failed. Then you're just going to drive through the neighborhood. You're going to drive through the area that they have destined for you to drive. It's going to be, you just stay between the lines and drive normally, you know, your normal self. It's not going to be hard. And then you're going to pull over to the side of the road, and she's going to ask you, what do you do from here? She's going to ask, I keep saying she because I had a female for mine, but you know, whether it's male or female is neither here nor there. But they're going to ask you to pull over to the side of the road, and they're going to ask you, where do you go from here? Now, what do you want to do? You want to take your emergency kit, take your triangles. You're going to have 3 emergency triangles in the emergency kit. Let's see. Mine is in the back of the truck right now, so I'll probably show it to you guys in another video. But you're going to take your emergency kit. You want to place one triangle 5 feet behind your truck. You want to place another triangle 10 feet behind that triangle. And you want to place one triangle 15 feet in the front of your truck. And that's what you're going to do. And then she's going to ask you, after you've completed your necessary maintenance for whatever reason you was on the side of the road, how are you going to re-enter traffic? And the answer is, you're going to speed up in the medium and re-enter traffic like that. You don't want to just get back into traffic and then go. You want to start, gather speed on the medium and then enter traffic. And from there, that's pretty much it. You'll be headed back to get your copy of your CDLs. So I think you guys can do it.